Well, good afternoon. This is Blu Laker. We're here at Radio Tribune in Las Vegas, Nevada at 717 South Line Street. Yeah, it's right here in Las Vegas, the corner of Charleston and 9th. You're allowed to come in. That's right. We'll listen to what you have to say, good, bad, or indifferent. Hopefully it's good, but a lot of times we don't get good news. The point that I'm trying to make, hey, Chris, television's not on.
It's still recording.
It's not on.
It's still recording. It's still recording. It's still recording.
Is it on?
It's still live on the radio. Yeah. It's still recording.
Okay, getting back to where we were. Here we are, we're getting a little bit of a late start today, but that's okay, we'll just stay a little longer. Okay, so you don't have to stay either. You can go when you want to. But there's a lot of interesting things that are happening today that really deserves your attention. You know, for example, through the Las Vegas Tribune, which is a publication that we do here at Radio Tribune and the Las Vegas Tribune, it happens to be an internet station, and there's lots of valuable information in it. For example, I'm sure you won't find this in any of the other papers, but there's 1.4 million illegals working under stolen Social Security numbers. Not only that, but there's many other articles in here. High Court allows Trump ban to take effect. Nevada Supreme Court can't comment on Holper's case. But love America, its values and its principles. All of these things are in the Las Vegas Tribune, as well as a lot of our advertisers with a lot of good deals. Now, Congress should dump plan to tax advertising. They should certainly dump that plan. I mean, how can you tax advertising your product? It's really it's getting bad, man. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to continue to allow this to take place? CNN producer admits network hyping the Trump-Russia scandal for ratings. For ratings, yes, they did it for ratings. And admits to it. Again, that's not something you're going to find out in your local news or on television. But, you know, we better do something. And if you can't listen to the President of the United States, who the hell can you listen to? By the way, we're getting ready to have the 4th of July, and that's going to be next week. The Democrats are facing an identity crisis. Again, all of this that I'm reading to you is out of the Las Vegas Tribune. Online, don't cost you a nickel. You know, where the Review Journal, I believe it's $1.50 now per day and $3.50 on Sunday. Why do you want to do that when you can get it free? Now, the Marines are making headway in Afghanistan under Trump. The problem with that, not that I don't believe we should have making headway, the problem is, what are we going to get when it's all over and done? Are we going to have more dead bodies lining the street? Ours? Are we going to get the $81 billion that we've just allocated to the quote-unquote war in Afghanistan? It's not a declared war. So what the hell are we doing there? Well, all of this information is something that you can read in the Las Vegas Tribune. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of other things that are taking place. The Senate GOP displays and delays Obamacare. Repeal vote passed July 4th reserves. Oh, my goodness. So they're going to delay it a little bit, and then they're going to not pass it. Well, why should they? It's missing some of the ingredients. And the worst part is we don't even have to do that. Don't even have to do it. You see, we have a program that's called Cobra. Oh, by the way, did you know that the name of this show is Cobra USA? Yes, and it's a direct reference to Cobra Insurance. And Cobra is not insurance, but a insurance program and an insurance plan. But by the way, you can get a look at me. I'm in the Las Vegas Tribune. I don't know what page, but, well, let's see. Page 17. And I'm at the bottom of the page. And at least you'll have an idea who you're talking to. If you decide to call 702-743-8297. And the governor is right to veto the bill mandating more clean energy. Well, I don't know why he's doing it, because there's one thing I am a solar contractor, and I know that it is good for America and good for anybody else who decides to invest in it. As a matter of fact, it's one of the best investments that you can make. And people say, well, how can you do that? I can say, well, it's real simple, you see. If you can electrify your own home and your automobile at the same time, you'll be killing two of the biggest bills that you have every month. That's right. Why should we pay for electricity when we have the sun that God gave to us and we can't survive without? Is he trying to tell us that we better get on board before it's too late? How would it be like, or what would it be like not to have the sun? Well, guess what? We'd be dead. So you better think about what you can do and take advantage of the opportunity that you have right now. And never mind what these other people say. I hear all kinds of stories that solar doesn't pay. Let me tell you something. Solar not only pays, but it's the best investment that you can make. Not only does it increase the home value, but it saves you money at the same time. And where else can you get a 30% tax credit? And if, in case you don't know what a tax credit is, it's not the same thing as the deductible. The deductible basically means you have a certain amount that you can take off your income tax. But with a tax credit, if you owe Uncle Sam any money, say $5,000, $10,000, and you have a tax credit, you can use your tax credit against what you owe so that you don't have to pay Uncle Sam that money. That means you get to use the money twice. All right, I'm not going to go into the big explanation of that because the big explanation is going to take too long. And that's not my purpose today. My purpose today is to let you know about the Las Vegas Tribune and what you should be paying attention to here in Las Vegas. Because, you see, every state has its net worth. And what is the net worth of the various states? It's the population of what they produce. Now, some states, like California, for example, and I'm not quite sure that I know the exact statistical information, but as I understand it, 60% of the population is on welfare or Social Security, not Social Security, but subsidies, food stamps, housing, everything that goes along with that program. And did you know that one of the biggest drains we have here in the United States is the billions of dollars that we pour into subsidies every year? As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, there was a report that was conducted 3 years ago, 2013. And then in that report, at that time, the amount of money that we give away in subsidies is equal to, get this, $668 billion. $668 billion with a B. Oh, no, that's not bad enough, right? No, as a matter of fact, there's another $287 billion for the poor. Oh my goodness, we just have money to throw away. $81 billion that were thrown against Afghanistan to achieve nothing? Isn't that the same thing? If you get nothing in return for the subsidies that we're putting out, well, they're paying tax. Well, they can't afford to pay taxes, so don't give me that crap. And they don't. And they're looking for every way to skim. As I mentioned earlier on in the program, 1.4 million illegals working under stolen Social Security numbers. Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, when will this stop? When will we take this thing by the ears and put it in place like we need to? And what do you think that would entail? Well, the first thing I would do is I would get rid of the subsidies that are especially illegal. The ones where those people who come into this country with false identifications, fraudulent papers, and so forth are collecting Social Security, welfare, food stamps, and everything else at our expense. Maybe we should do that, because there are states where the benefits are so great that people are actually making $15 an hour on subsidies. $15 an hour to sit home and do nothing, and they're not going to go out and get a job because they don't need it. They can't make that much money in the private sector. And if they did, they'd still have to pay taxes. If they had to pay taxes, they might be down to about $10 an hour. Oh my goodness, so we're caught between the hard spot and the rock. Exactly, between the hard spot and the rock. Well, those rocks are moving closer and closer together. And if we're not real careful, we're going to be squeezed out. So the advice that I give you today is get on the phone, talk to your friends, your neighbors, and get them to help you do something to save this great country. Because just depending on the faith of this government, first of all, it's useless. You're not going to get anywhere. Try getting a hold of your representative. See if you can talk to them in person. See if you can set up a meeting someplace to where you can have a town hall meeting and get them in attendance. They won't show. And then why should you go through the trouble of doing all that? Why should you go through the trouble of going to do their job or trying to make them do their job? It gets frustrating after a while to think that we have elected people to do the job and they refuse to do it, and they don't even want to take your call. So where is the representation? Why have we spent $50 million that they just spent in a special election down in Georgia? Oh boy. I love Georgia, especially the song, Georgia. But to spend $50 million to gain a seat in the House of Representatives is utterly ridiculous. Now, if we think that's bad, what's going to happen next? And why are we spending that kind of money on something as simple as electing an official? You think there's no better way? There is a better way. There is a better use for that money. Hospitals, transportation. I don't care. I don't care if you go downtown and throw it out the window and people pick it up on the street. It's better to do something like that. Tend to waste your money with the politicians who don't do their job. They don't do their job. Oh yes, it's all fine and dandy when they talk to you. They're going to do this and they're going to do that. Tell them what they want to hear and give them nothing. Sound like the old story? Yes, it sounds like the old story because it is the same story as the old story. We just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. When are we going to get ourselves out of this quagmire? Okay, finally got it right. Well, I'm going to tell you something. If we can't depend on the people who we've elected to represent us, and nobody else will listen, what are we going to do? Are we going to get to the point where we have to do something dramatic? I see that as a real possibility. I see it as a real possibility because we have so many other concerns in this country, not to mention the world. We have a war in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, oh boy, Libya, all of these places. And where are the benefits to the United States? Oh, we have a few air bases there. You know what? All of those air bases need to come home. And the reason they need to come home is to protect the United States, not other countries. Oh, but we need them for our protection. No, we don't need them for our protection. All we have to do is bulletproof the United States, and the first thing we have to do is close the borders. And we need to get rid of the intruders that came in here illegally, falsely, and are dependent upon us to provide them with free food, education, housing, and you name it. It is time that somebody took this thing by the Gesundheit and straightened it out. Yeah, because I couldn't think of the other word, and I didn't want to use balls. Anyway, again, we're going to be seeing some changes here in the United States, whether you want it or not. Because we're going to be forced into a forced situation here pretty soon. Like I said, we're between a hard spot and a rock, and the rocks are closing in. Do nothing, you'll get squeezed. You may even get your life squeezed out from underneath you. ISIS, the erratic Islamic rebellious insurgents. Their mandate is kill all Christians. Kill anybody that doesn't convert over to Islam. Oh, but Islam's a religion, right? Well, no. These are radical Islamic murderers, terrorists. I don't believe that God or the Lord sees it that way. But He's left it up to us to figure it out. And I was just watching on television today, just before I came in, where the rebels, the terrorists, if you were, ISIS, are pulling out of some of the cities that they're occupying. I think it was Mosul that they were pulling out. And they're seeking other territories where they can settle, but only settle to the point that they're going to occupy them, and then we'll have another battle on our hands. But what was really interesting to me was all the armament that they had. All the tanks, the machine guns, and other war paraphernalia that they were taking and leaving with. And it wasn't just one or two, it was dozens and dozens of trucks loaded with equipment and ammunition, and I guess weapons of mass destruction. So they're just moving from one spot to another. And when they plant themselves in the midst of a population, it's very hard to pull them out. And how do we do it? Well, it should be no secret to you at this point that we employ GPS. We have insurgents who work for the buck. People who are willing to sell out their friends and their allies for money. And so they plant the GPS, and that way our missiles can hone in where they're at. Never mind the casualties. Never mind the civilians. Never mind the children that are wiped out under these conditions. Never mind that they are weapons of mass destruction. But we accuse others of using weapons of mass destruction. But when it comes to us, it's perfectly okay. I'm not all right with it. If you're all right with it, well, God bless you. But I don't think He will. I don't think He will. I think the old term is pissing up the world. That's what I believe. And I believe that as long as we continue these outrageous imperialistic moves that we're doing, we're going to have the same problem. Do you blame people for not liking us because of what we do? Wipe out their towns, their villages, their families, their jobs? Wow. How would you like to have it happen here in the United States? And you think it's too far-fetched? Oh, that it can never happen? That we're too big to fail? Remember the real estate bust? You remember that? I remember it. I got caught up in it, you see. I had enough warning. I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't do anything about it. So I lost 2 houses. Well, what do you do with 2 houses? Well, one was for my mother and one was for me. Does it make any sense? Bottom line is this. Sometimes when the handwriting is on the wall, we ignore it. Well, it's time to wake up. It's time to make sure that you don't disregard the warning sign and that you are in a position to do something about it. Because there's so many things that can happen, both natural and through the efforts of terrorist groups and organizations, ISIS, North Korea, and all the others who are just as determined as we are. And we have to pay the price. Who's paying for us being in Iraq, Iran? Oh, we're not in Iran? Yes, we are. Contractors are there. Spies are there. They get paid. We have the same situation in Syria, Iraq, Libya, and now Yemen. And it goes on and on and on. And where is it written that we have an unwritten law that says we can go anywhere and attack and destroy anybody? Destroy their land, destroy their cattle, their way of living, their way of eating, to destroy their towns and villages that can't be built back in any time soon. And why would they want to build them back now? Because they'll only get destroyed again. And then we have to pay to go in, and then we have to pay to get out. Doesn't sound like a very good plan to me. But then, I'm just a taxpayer. I'm just a radio announcer who has his views, who can't get responses from our elected representatives, who after the election process decide they've had enough, they need a vacation, and they're not going to answer your questions or even take you into consideration of what you have to say. It is one thing to ignore the people. It's another thing to ignore what other individuals have to say. Because somewhere in this mess, there's going to be someone with answers. The answers to Medicare or Medicaid. The answers to poverty. The answers to closed borders. The answers to the dollar and the deficit. And those are just some of the problems that we face today. Can any one person take on all of those tasks at one time? Well, no, they can't. And even the president can't do it by himself. He has to have cooperation. But when we find ourselves not only in wars and conflicts across the other countries across the world, and we have them here, right here in the United States, with 2 parties, one called the Democrats and the other Republicans, who are at opposite ends when it comes to getting anything done. Just another war, just another waste of time. And sometime, somewhere, somehow, either God will send the deliverance that we need, or we'll figure it out and we'll get somebody who can do something about it. All of these delays that have been incurred in going to court, the Ninth Circuit Court, the Fifth Circuit Court, the Supreme Court, all of that time wasted, all of the people that were involved, the time is wasted. hundreds of millions of dollars spent in an unnecessary quest for bogus information. It's above and beyond legitimate thinking that we allow ourselves to be in this position and that we can't or we won't do anything about it. It's blatant that there is no excuse for us having open borders. None whatsoever. Oh, well, we can't cut our trade to the other countries. We're not cutting out trade. We're providing safety that America used to have and should have again. And we can be a great country again, but only if we pay attention to what's at hand. Yes, we need to take control, and we need to do it soon. We cannot put up with any more illegal aliens. We have to get rid of the ones that are here illegally, and perhaps even those who potentially are here legally. But after I read today, as I mentioned earlier on, that there's 1.4 million illegals working under stolen Social Security numbers, it makes me wonder how many of those people who have gained admittance to this country and have actually gained citizenship through false documents that cannot be verified over the last 50 years. And I think we would be astounded to know the actual amount. Just like knowing that $668 billion is being distributed through subsidies. And again, don't forget, $287 billion are set aside for the poor. I don't have any problem with the poor, but it does certainly have a problem with $668 billion given to people who don't deserve it. And they don't deserve it. We have to earn our own. We have to pay our own taxes, and we can't support anybody else. You know, it's bad enough that we can't get representation. It's even worse when we have to pay for the upkeep and maintenance of other people who do not belong in this country and who should never be given the privilege of citizenship. Their first act in this United States was coming in here illegally. And what we must do is get that corrected. For the life of me, I do not understand why it is not a felony to come into this country under false pretenses, false documents, and false information. And it's not just the ones who are guilty of crimes, and there's plenty of them, that are committed here in the United States. And the majority of them are being done by the quote-unquote illegal aliens. Immigrants, no. Immigrants come in through legal channels. Aliens come in through illegal means. And that's the difference. And you might be well understood if you're able to tell other people of exactly what is going on, and then rally some of them to stand up against all of these inequities that are taking place. We can do it. And it's not a football game that we're going to. It's a massacre. Very much like the massacre during the Roman times when the gladiators went in the ring and had to fight, or the Christians went into the ring to die. Yes, they didn't care for people then. I guess we don't care for people anymore. I guess we don't really have integrity in back of our motives anymore. You know, we do things because there's a higher authority here, and it's called money, power brokers, lobbyists, special interests. Those are the ones that dictate the policies that this government of ours, actually thrown backwards with that word. Ours would be where you got representation, where people can where people got things done, and where there was parity in the law. Parity meaning what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and that goes all the way to the head of our congressional people as well as everybody else here in this country, and especially those who are here illegally. We owe them nothing. They came here of their own volition. They should go back of their own volition. If they don't, we'll help them. So in today's message, the main thing is for you to pay attention to what's happening around you. And if you can't do anything else but get on the internet, go to the Las Vegas Tribune. There are lots of valuable information and great deals. And if you want to participate, don't sit there on the couch being a couch potato. Call 702-743-8297. And we have another call-in number at 702-984-6843. That's a direct line right here to the Radio Tribune. So, and everything else we'll talk to you about tomorrow, God willing, of course. Have a great day. Blu Laker here for Radio Tribune.